Building an audience is an essential piece for growing your online business. But here's the thing, you don't need to have a massive audience to be impactful. In fact, having a small list and a cozy community can have great benefits. So this video is going to show you why. We're going to dive into choosing the right content platforms for your business and how to leverage the power of intimacy and personal connections as a strategic way to convert your small audience into clients. And we're also going to go over how to create a handy content bank so that you can keep those creative juices flowing for consistent content. Just in case we haven't met, I am Lydia Lee. I'm a work reinvention coach and solopreneur strategist at my company called Screw the Cubicle. I dedicate my time every single month in this channel to produce videos for you. So if you're interested in topics around leaving your 9-to-5 and starting an independent business, discovering meaningful work, and also building a business that's aligned with the lifestyle choices that you want to have in your life, you'll want to stick around and also subscribe and hit the notification bell button so that you won't miss any of the new videos that I produce on this channel every single month. The first tip I want to talk about today is about simplifying your marketing as you're building your audience, because I know that so many people think that they have to be everywhere to be seen and to be acknowledged for their work. But the truth is that if you try to be everywhere and try to learn all the different techniques and strategies for every single platform online, marketing's not going to feel simple. It's going to feel stressful and it's not going to be sustainable. And that is a sure recipe for disaster and burnout in your business. Trust me, I have been there. And instead, I want to invite you to actually just choose 1 to 2 platforms at maximum so that you can really master that pathway of that part of marketing, that platform approach to marketing, and not having to learn all the different strategies and techniques that take up a lot of energy and time. And to be honest, won't actually get you to that aligned audience that you really need anyway. Right? And when you can focus on 1 to 2 platforms, or even just one to start, especially if you're a new business, I really know that your audience will grow even faster because you're going to be consistent on that platform and you're going to be really masterful in how you deliver content in that platform as time goes by. So choosing the right platform isn't just sort of a throwing darts in the dark sort of effort, right? I want you to really think about what your strengths are. What is your natural way of communication that doesn't feel inauthentic? It doesn't feel like, oh, there's so much effort I have to make to show up like this, right? For me, it's video, creating a video, talking things out, being on things like podcasts are really easy things for me to do because that's my natural tendency in how I connect and how I communicate most effectively. The minute you ask me to write long blogs or write articles, that is when things take a lot longer for me. So I want you to check in with yourself. Like, what are some of the ways of communication and ways of connecting with people that are best suited for your personality type? And then start choosing the platforms that you actually like to engage in, that you might be a user in as well of that platform. And that's going to make creating content for those platforms a lot more easy. So less is more is not always more, and choosing one platform to start with that suits your style and personality, you're just going to grow that channel, that platform even more. And then the other tip I want to give you is about, growing your audience and then also having a strategy for external outreach as well. So an internal platform is something you own, right? Something that no one can really take away from you, or it's something that you are going to be consistently, right? Making sure that you're connecting with that list or that audience member the most, right? Every single month. And for me, my internal marketing strategy is email. Yes, I know I said I don't like writing, but what I do is I make newsletters and things like that really fun for me to write that are really easy. That includes videos, by the way. So that makes that newsletter piece really easy for me to do. And I own that list. No matter if any of my social channels ever go kerplunk, I have access to an audience that I've committed to, that have committed to me as well, right? That I know are wanting, they've given me permission with their email to receive more information from me, right? That gives me a feeling that that's a warmer audience as well versus someone just kind of scrolling and clicking through things. Now, I also consider YouTube, which is what you're watching me on at the moment, a great internal kind of platform too, because it's sort of different than a social platform. People come here to research a topic, they do go through longer form content. They get a sort of sample, right, of how I teach, how I coach, what advice and tips I give away before they choose to get more steady with me on an email list, right? So this is also a really great platform that suits my style, right? So whatever it might be for you, maybe yours is a Substack, paid newsletter, right? Maybe yours is just an email list. Maybe it is a podcast, right? That you can produce and control, right? That content for your audience. People do have to subscribe in order to continue to receive that information. And that's something that you can choose one thing, right? One internal platform to start. Then the external platforms or external outreach, right? Marketing strategies, or how can you get in front of a bigger audience that's not your own? And that for me is podcasting. I love being a guest on podcasts. For you, it might be guest teaching in other programs. It might be submitting an article, right? To an online publication that will have a lot more of your audience reading that website, right? It could be also for you going on other people's podcasts, right? Or being on conferences or being on online virtual summits, right? So having both, right? That is sustainable, one of each to start with, right? That's going to give you a great strategy of managing something you own that's you're responsible for and committed to every month to produce and grow that slowly, and also rely on a external strategy that helps you to grow your audience by being seen in front of a bigger audience in other platforms as well. Okay, I want to take a little pause here to do a bit of a pulse check. What ideas came for you when you think about picking one platform, one way of marketing that is going to be aligned with your strengths and your natural tendencies to communicate and produce content? What's that one platform that could really work for your personality type and that you could be masterful in creating content for? I would love for you to share that with me in the comments. Tip number 2 is about leveraging the power of personalization and intimacy to stand out in your business and connect even deeper with your small audience. Now, there's something really amazing for a small audience business that they can be doing that a big list business cannot be doing. And that is really being able to personalize an experience for the audience that's coming into your world, whether it's via your email list or even on your YouTube channel or your social media by following you, right? And those new followers that come in and trickle in every single week. One of the things that I see people not doing, which I think is just a missed opportunity, is actually taking the time, because you can do that right now when you have a small list, to connect with people individually. And people feel so special and seen and acknowledged when you do that. And guess what? Other businesses don't aren't doing that. They don't have the capacity. They have a too big of an audience. They're focusing on mass marketing. And when people are focusing on mass marketing, you can be focusing on intimacy. That's what's going to really differentiate you, especially if you're a brand that is a personal brand. Your work takes trust for people to build, throughout the years with you, and also to utilize what they know about you to buy your products. Like, even more important, right? That definitely will be a value piece that you'll need to execute anyway, right? In order to convert some of these people, right, leads from your channels or email lists into paying clients. And it's very simple, right? When you send out a newsletter, for example, or an email, right, to your email list, doesn't matter if there's 100 people on it, right? Always end it with a please reply to this email. Let me know what you thought about it. What's one tip out of the 5 tips I gave today that really resonated with you? Or just simply ask them, where are you at with the problem, right? That you solve for them, right? Ask them to reply and even tell them that you will read every email and reply back to them. People will engage a lot more when they're instructed to do so because they actually don't know if it's you writing it or your assistant, or, they don't usually talk to someone kind of behind the email. And I think that if you encourage people to reply to you, to engage with you, the right people that need help, that are urgently seeking for a solution, they're going to open up that channel of communication, right? So you can really connect more intimately with a small audience by asking for those replies. And then send them a personal message. I like using a software called Loom to do this. It's a beautiful way of showing your face, saying their name auditorily on that video, welcoming them, right, to your email list. There's so many great things you can do with something like Loom that gives people a tiny little 60-second video that either answers the question that they replied to your email about, or it could be simply just to welcome them into your email list. That's something I started doing when I was first building my list. When new subscribers, it'd be like 5 a week or whatever those little numbers were, I would take a few minutes out of my day to quickly like say hello to them via email. Right, nowadays, I do it via Loom. People are shocked sometimes when I say their name on video because it creates that level of like personalization and care right away. And right away, you're going to stand out and they're going to engage with you in a much more intimate way than seeing you on social media, right? So send a welcome personal message to new subscribers. I do that sometimes with new followers as well on my social channels. So if someone started following me on Instagram, I don't do it to everyone, but if I saw a few people today and I have a bit of time, I'll send them a little voicemail, on Instagram, right? And people love voicemails. Not a lot of people send them. And it's not spammy, right? It's personal. You might even mention something about their profile. You might ask them a question, right, about why they're interested in following you. Is there anything they need help with? You can point them towards an article you wrote, right? Anything like that really helps to give them that sort of great onboarding, welcome feel, right, when you send a DM or a voicemail on your social media. So that's another really great way to do it. And the last tip I have for creating intimacy with your small audience is really utilize the small audience to give you information, right? You could even, as you are, engaging with people through these DMs and replies and voicemails, get a question out of them. What's their most burning question? What's the thing that keeps them up at night, right? And then that's going to help you to really write or create content for that one person, because that one person could represent quite a number of other ideal clients that may be suffering or experiencing the same issues, right? So you no longer have to think about what topics should I write about or create the next IG video about, right? Get your audience to start telling you what they want to learn, right? And dedicate that piece of content to them, right? Say, thank you for telling me about this problem. Here's the answer. Here might be something could be helpful for everyone else as well. So that kind of Q&A sort of way of using your audience for content topics really helps you to just create content for one person. And that's kind of like a little love letter, right? Your next email, your next content piece to just solve one problem for one person at a time. And that's a beautiful way to create that intimacy with your audience. Tip number 3 is about creating a content bank so that it makes it easy for you to dip into content whenever you need to, so that creating content for your small audience feels easy, simplified, and there's a system, right? So that you're not always just guessing or having to rack your brain on what you're inspired to create content around today. We're not always inspired all the time. So we want to rely on a system that allows us to easily, right, get into it and get some that has already our ideas of what's going to resonate with our audience right there, so that we don't have to think too hard about creating that next piece of content. So I want to give you a little gift today, which is a tool that I use with my students in my 90-day Launch Academy program, when during the marketing phase of that program, of how to plan out content for the next 3 to 6 months in a batch, so that you're no longer, right, sort of always tongue-tied when it comes to creating content, so that you can right away dip into this bank of content every single month, every single week, whatever's your frequency of creating content, much more easily. So I'm going to give you a link to download this content bank with a bit of a training on it as well, so that you can know how to use these prompts for the content bank, and you can start to use it today to plan out your content for the next 3 to 6 months. Basically, having a content bank is going to allow you to brainstorm some of these ideas and themes, right? I call them little content theme pillars. And picking 3 major content theme pillars is a good place to start, just to keep those boundaries of like, here's what I want to specialize in. Here's really where I want my audience to know me for in these topics, and not to, not to say that you can't talk about other things, but I do think that having a focus of what you want to be known for is going to be an important part of growing your business to the right audience that are actively seeking for your services and your work and what you're offering, right? So starting with 3 content pillars of what you want to be known for is the first piece to start with. And then coming up with, and the content bank will give you some prompts for this, is what sorts of topics within those themes and questions that people ask and misconceptions you want to demystify in that theme, that will then give you the clues for the topics that are going to be most strongly resonating with your audience. Now, you can also do a survey or a poll with your audience to do this, but I also think coming up with that content bank first and then adding to it from voting, or from feedback that you might be getting from your audience, can be a great way to keep topping up that content bank. Okay, so at my 90-day Launch Academy program, we do a content plan brainstorm every quarter, right? And using this content bank is a great starting point for you as well. You can start wherever you're at, or even if we're not in the beginning of a quarter, but it's good to use that as a ritual, that in the start of every quarter, you are coming back to this exercise of filling up the content bank, getting fresh ideas, and having a place to store your content ideas so that you can dip into it as easily as possible, and making your content creation, production, efforts more streamlined for you. Okay, I hope you enjoy that gift. Thank you so much for joining me today for learning more about the benefits of having a small audience and how to leverage the power of intimacy and personalization, and making marketing feel simpler and more easeful and more fun by choosing the right platforms that suit your personality type, and also getting ready for producing that content using the content bank idea. I would love to hear from you. What was an important piece of advice or tip that you got today that you want to implement and execute in your business right away? And I would love to hear your feedback about any other questions that you might have about growing a small audience, building a more minimalist business that's easeful for you to run in your life. Share that with me in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.